Welcome to my podcast. I'm Christine Schultheis, intuitive coach and constellation facilitator. And in this podcast, I invite you to join me on a journey into the world of constellation work. I share my personal experiences, touching moments from my practice, and the unseen connections that deeply shape our lives. Some questions cannot be answered by the mind, and yet somewhere an answer is waiting for us, beyond thinking, in the space where we meet ourselves again. That's exactly where this podcast will take you, step by step, story by story. I'm glad you're here. Episode 3: The 3 core principles of constellation work. Welcome to episode 3. I'm so glad you're here. Today I'd like to introduce you to the 3 core principles of constellation work: belonging, order, and balance. These 3 principles are active in every system, in families, relationships, friendships, or even within a team at work. They're like invisible forces that shape how love, attention, and energy move through a system. When these forces are in harmony, we often feel grounded, connected, at peace within ourselves. But when they are disturbed or out of balance, this imbalance often shows up in our daily life as inner restlessness, recurring conflict, exhaustion, or emotions that don't seem to have a clear reason. We might say, something feels off, but I don't know why. Constellation work helps us see these deeper dynamics, not to blame or analyze, but to bring movement, truth, and healing back into the flow. The first principle: belonging. Everyone has a right to their place. The first principle is belonging. Everyone who belongs to a system has a right to their place. No exceptions. That includes all who are part of the family story, even those who are rarely spoken about. Children who died early, unborn or lost siblings, excluded family members, or former partners. It also includes those who may have caused pain, because life in its wholeness holds everyone. When someone is forgotten or excluded, it's as if the system loses a part of itself. And another member, often a child or later generation, will unconsciously carry what was left out, trying to bring it back into awareness. In the previous episode, I shared the story of a mother whose son suddenly started stealing. In the constellation, it became clear that the boy's father had been excluded from the family system. No one spoke about him anymore. He was almost erased. But the system remembers. On a deep unconscious level, the son sensed that someone was missing. Through his behavior, the stealing, he was expressing loyalty to his father. Not because he wanted to be like him, but because through his actions he was saying, "Look, he belongs here too. Without him, I wouldn't exist." When the father was given his rightful place in the constellation, the entire energy in the room shifted. The boy could finally let go, and the mother felt peace for the very first time in years. When belonging is restored, the system relaxes. What was forgotten or pushed away can finally be seen again. And in that seeing, in that simple act of inclusion, healing begins. So perhaps you can take a quiet moment now to reflect. Is there someone in your own story who may have been forgotten? Someone whose presence still lingers, even if no one speaks their name? Just allowing this question can already open space for peace. The second principle is order. Everyone in their rightful place. The second principle, order, means in a healthy family dynamic, everyone has their place. Father, mother, child. When someone steps out of their rightful place, the system falls out of balance. Very often children take on responsibilities that belong to their parents, especially when they sense that a parent is struggling. Out of love, they try to help, protect, or make things better. But in doing so, they take on a burden far too heavy for a child to carry. A woman once came to me because she was completely exhausted. She said, "I just can't go on. I wake up in the morning already tired. I'm just functioning." Her body was at its limit. In the constellation, it became clear that she had been carrying far too much responsibility since childhood. When her mother went through a difficult time, the little girl had stepped in, emotionally and energetically, and taken her mother's place. She became the little grown-up, the strong one, the helper, the comforter. This pattern repeated itself throughout her adult life. She cared for everyone, at work, in her family, in her relationship, and yet felt more and more empty. During her constellation, she realized she was standing in a place that wasn't truly hers. When she turned to her mother, bowed slightly, and said, "Mom, you are the big one, and I am the small one. I leave this with you now," the room became completely still. Something inside her reordered itself. Her shoulders dropped, her breath deepened, and it was as if she came home to herself for the first time in years. When everyone returns to their rightful place, peace arises. Order doesn't mean hierarchy or control. It means that love can flow again, freely and naturally. It's a quiet kind of order, one that brings relief, humility, and strength. The third principle is balance, the balance between giving and receiving. In every relationship, whether personal or professional, there needs to be an exchange. When one person only gives and the other only takes, tension builds up. The system begins to seek balance, sometimes in surprising ways. A woman once came to me because her relationship was about to fall apart. She said, "I feel like I'm always the one who gives. I do so much, but yet get so little." She was tired, disappointed, and full of resentment toward her husband. In her constellation, however, a very different dynamic appeared. She had chosen this man quite consciously, not by chance, but out of an old inner pattern. As a child, she had learned that love must be earned, that she had to give and perform in order to be seen. Her husband simply mirrored this pattern back to her. When she realized, "I give in order to be loved," something shifted deep inside. She could finally feel that true giving is only possible when we are also able to receive. When giving and receiving return to balance, connection becomes possible. Without exhaustion, without struggle. Sometimes balance also means taking a step back, allowing others to give, allowing life itself to support us. For many people, that's the hardest part, receiving without guilt. But this is exactly where love begins to breathe again. These three principles, belonging, order, and balance, form the foundation of all constellation work. They are like invisible pillars that hold our inner and outer life. When they are in balance, we feel connected, strong, and aligned with ourselves. When one of them is disturbed, we often sense it, but not as a thought, but as a subtle unease in our body, a recurring pattern, or a longing we can't quite name. Perhaps after listening to this episode, you might like to pause for a moment, to simply feel which of these three principles is most alive in your own life right now. Maybe belonging, maybe order, or maybe balance. There is no right or wrong, just awareness. And awareness is where healing begins. I'm so glad you joined me today. and I look forward to having you with me again in the next episode. Until then, I wish you a peaceful time and perhaps a quiet moment to breathe, to feel, and to listen to the movement of life within you. Until next time, I'm Christine Schultheis.